Guys, I want to talk to you about something really important. It could really concern Bitcoin, gold, and silver. And not just Bitcoin, all the cryptos, okay? All the cryptos, Bitcoin included, gold and silver. And I want to get into it and I want to talk about it. First off, today is the 3rd of March, 2020. And let's get talking about it. Here's the thing. A possibility has went through my mind that because of the immensity of this crisis that we face right now, if you don't know what this crisis is, it's a virus. Just like, if your computer catches a computer virus, and if you get a computer virus in your computer, it can mess up everything. I've caught in my computer before. I've had these things in my computer, and honest to goodness, is one time it froze my computer up so bad I couldn't find it. There's nothing I could do with my computer. Basically, turn it into a brick, and I had to quite literally defragment my hard drive and reinstall Windows. I had to I fragmented my hard drive about 4 times to make sure everything was erased, and then I reinstalled Windows. But this got me thinking, uh, maybe the same thing will happen here. And what I mean by that is, the Federal Reserve, is what's keeping the financial system up right now. And they're lowering interest rates. They're firing their biggest tool. They're using it right now. And yeah, they restored the market a little bit, but you know what? Because we had that big day, when the market went up like 1,290 points or whatever, Uh, Here's the thing. What if this is too big for the Federal Reserve to handle? And what if well, we already know the debt, the United States national debt is just like absolutely bonkers. It's so big. It's over $20 trillion, But then there's all these unfunded liabilities, like Medicare, and also we've got these unfunded liabilities like Social Security, and there's all these treasuries sold out there into the world. What if the Fed just can't handle it all? What if the system starts to implode to a point where the central bank is just lost the ability to control it? What if it's just too out of control, too big? Well, they'd have to do some sort of reset or something, which would basically be a default. And all those treasuries out there, they might get paid off, but only partially get paid off. They might have to take they might take a haircut on the treasuries if the United, or maybe it might be a complete. We just don't know. We're entering very uncertain times here right now. Now, there's the entire possibility that if the other alternative to this is that the Fed has to cover it. They cover it. They just print unlimited amounts of money. Well, let's take a look at these two avenues. One would be a default, the avenue of default. And the other avenue is it's still default, because if they print massive amounts of money to try to control this problem, ultimately it's going to lead to a hyperinflationary default where your treasuries aren't, the purchasing power of your dollar goes down to nothing. Now, let's take a little bit more of an examination of the default side, where the Fed just can't keep up, and they have to somehow default on all this debt and do some sort of a reset where they go into some sort of a new currency unit, probably call it the dollar, but they would just, all of the other stuff that's gone on till now, all of this creation of debt and everything would just be erased in one night. The next day it would be over. What would your treasuries be worth? This would be a bankruptcy of the entire world, not just the United States, because so many people are invested in the dollar. The dollar is the core of the world's financial system, you know, and if your dollars become worthless overnight, then what is of value at that point? If they did do a reset like that, the new money that they create, you know, I mean, they'd have, because we have to have money, they would, some sort of a reset like that where the system fails, there's just too much debt to cover it. The United States is not getting any tax receipts because, or their tax diminishes by maybe, I don't know, 70% maybe. Because, you know, if people aren't working, they're not paying tax, you know? And I mean, can we see the entire United States of America, everyone be on welfare, basically? Just take a look at the hit it might take. I'm going to talk about two avenues of direct danger if this virus actually gets out of control, and how it would affect the United States economy. Take a look at the demographics. We have 42 million people over the age of 65 who are on Medicare in the United States right now. Can you imagine what the Medicare bill would be like if this virus goes out of control and spreads through the entire population, basically, or most of the population, or a high percentage of the population, you know? What would the Medicare bill be like? You know, with 42 million people. And let's take another example of this. Right now, a little bit over 100 people have this in the United States. Look at the trouble it's causing. Okay? Just pretend to yourself if this affects very adversely 1% of the population. Well, just think of what that would do. 1% of the population. If they need hospital care. You know, there's 330 million people, you know, and we're talking 1%. We're talking 3.3 million people that would need serious hospital care, and that's just 1%. Now, what I've heard, the numbers that I've heard is that the people that actually need urgent medical assistance is much higher than that. Maybe as high as 10%. You know, probably certainly over 5% would need some sort of medical attention. You know, they're sick. And even the ones who have a mild case of this, you know, they are out of commission for a few weeks. I would say out of commission probably for the best part of a month. You know, this is a serious situation, guys. And quite seriously, the economy was overbloated with exorbitant amounts of debt. I don't know if the Fed has the capability to actually hold all this together, and it would lead to some sort of a default. Right now, they're all rushing into treasuries. If one fraction of that money that's all rushing into treasuries were to start moving toward gold, silver, and cryptocurrency, because they're scared of what's going to happen to the United States dollar, if they even got an inkling that the Fed can't maintain control and there's some sort of default coming down the pike to the U.S. dollar. In other words, look at America, the overall, as a giant corporation. What happens if there's a sudden realization that a corporation is going to go bankrupt? What happens? You know? Well, America is like a giant corporation, and what if there's a slight whiff in the wind that a bankruptcy might be coming down the pike? Well, right now there is no whiff in the wind, you know. There's no. I'm probably the only guy out there talking about that. But one of the big reasons why I'm talking about it right now is I know that the likelihood of this virus being contained right at this moment, I'm not going to give a percentage of what that likelihood is, but I'm doubtful. If we look ahead into the future, not too distant future, we could see the potential of what could happen in an already overbloated system, you know? Can the Fed maintain control? I don't know. But I do know that if they are going to maintain control, this I know for a fact, that they are going to have to go into the greatest print of all time. And that's going to buoy cryptocurrencies, gold and silver. If there is any sort of a default on the other side of that coin, and these are the only two directions I can see it going in, is either in the default direction, a direct default direction, or in pump the money in there and keep it going direction. It seems to me either one of those two directions is going to lead toward a massive move into alternatives for the dollar. And, you know, at this point, this stage in the game, they're all in for the dollar. All the investors are all in. Either they're holding cash, or they're holding, or they're holding treasuries, or they're holding money market accounts, or they're in the stock market. All of it's dollar denominated. And we've seen no real movement coming into gold, silver, or cryptos. Not yet. But this situation is leading to something much greater, and not in the distant future either. I'm talking in the next few months. We're going to see some major action here of some sort or another. You know? I would say if you guys out there right now are holding cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, or any of the other cryptocurrencies, don't get shaken out of the tree right now. It might be the worst time ever to sell, you know, because the big moves might be coming in the future. And if you're holding gold and silver, don't get shaken out of the tree right now. Hang on tight to all of these non-dollar denominated asset classes. Because what's coming, I think, in the next month or two, or in the next few months, say the next 120 days, what's coming in the next 120 days is huger than you could ever imagine. And the impact is going to be greater than what you could ever imagine. That's what I think's coming. And that impact could translate into a massive movement into non-dollar denominated assets. Okay, listen, guys. Give me a thumbs up. Catch you guys in the next show. And remember, HODL, everything that's non-dollar denominated. I don't care what you got. If you've got a few diamonds, if you've got a big heap of copper, you know, copper was money for a long time. Copper's not the best thing, because copper is affected by deflationary pressures, affect copper very adversely, you know, because they use it so much in construction. I don't care if you've got a big pile of aluminum. Anything that's non-dollar denominated, hang on to it. Because what's coming right now could be the demise or end of the dollar in one of those two directions, either a direct default or a default where they try to print their way out. But they're being pushed right now. They're being pushed to this crossroad where they have to make one of these two choices, either to go down that road or down this road. And I don't know which road they're going to take. I think they're probably going to try to print their way out. It's going to be very exciting to see exactly which direction they choose. Bye-bye, guys.